Thanks, Jimmy, for that warm introduction.
Here's your tissue box, too.
It is a real privilege to be able to share my testimony, and I just happened to have my oldest son, Solomon, and his family come up to visit us for the weekend, so it'll be a privilege to share it for them also. Scripture says the testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple.
He's a guitarist. He doesn't know about talking into microphones, but there you go.
The testimony of
there
the
we
Lord
go.
is wise, making sure the simple, and I'm just so grateful that some of you simple folks out there today will become wise after hearing this. I know in the past I've become a lot more wise from hearing. But anyhow, I have it here, so I won't deviate. I'm just going to read it to you. On December 8th, 1952, I was born, David Anthony Cambell, the middle child in a family of 11 kids. I have many fond memories of my mother. I'm glad I have this box of tissue here. A typical Catholic mom of her day. That is, she smoked, drank, and cussed moderately. She was always pregnant, but still, she never failed to go to church on Sunday. There were also many times I can remember her getting up in the middle of the week to go to 6:30 Mass. Coming home afterward, so early. Coming home afterwards, she made us huge breakfasts of pancakes or French toast while preparing lunches for everybody to take to school or work. I'm very grateful for my Catholic education. I can add, subtract, multiply, and divide, both decimals and fractions. Being Catholic, though, I was very confused about heaven and hell. Catholic schools and public schools, baptisms, etc. I concluded that we were called Catholics because we went to Catholic school. So those who went to public school must be called publics. One time at the dinner table, I asked my mom why publics couldn't go to heaven. That was a great opportunity for all of my siblings to let me know how stupid I was. But it was okay because I knew that my mother still loved me. One of the greatest fears I had growing up in school was that I would not be able to make it all the way through class without a potty break. And we were forbidden to ask for one. I'll never forget that Saturday morning at CCD class, my fear was realized. It wasn't until Sister Maria Teresa walked by my desk and noticed something damp under her feet. She glared at me in a rage, and in front of the whole class, she called me a bad bunny rabbit. I was scarred for life. Let's fast forward to age 9, when my older brother Timmy got a guitar for his birthday. I think he would have preferred a baseball bat or a glove. Nobody could play the guitar, but I was determined to, and I played it to death. I learned the chords to every folk song I could, and started learning the words so that I could entertain all of my siblings and their friends. I thrived on the praise I got for my success in music. Little did I know that one day, God would rescue me and use my gifts to glorify Him in the dearest place on earth, my church, which this is my church now. I'm so grateful for that. When I was about 12, I fell in with the wrong crowd, or maybe they fell in with me. We were little thieves, and we loved the thrill of shoplifting. I thank God, though, for the day that I got caught. Getting away with sin is never a blessing because you can't escape the guilt. Getting caught is always an evidence of God's grace. I'll never forget the one time I got caught stealing a box of safety matches at the Bond Foods grocery store. We used to have match fights by striking the match on our pants and throwing it at our friends, trying to catch their hair on fire. We were stupid. Anyhow, the manager of the store grabbed me and he gave me the business, but he was very gracious and didn't report me to the police. But he didn't need to because I was cured of my desire to shoplift and I never had the nerve to do it again. My best buddy at the time was Billy Shalad. He and I did everything together, especially everything wrong. We were both 12, and his sister Teresa was 16. One night after Teresa drove us to the carnival, on the way home, I sat in the front seat between Billy and Teresa, straddling the gear shift lever in that little Volkswagen Bug, and our two buddies were sitting in the back. Teresa was not an experienced driver and was going way too fast when the car wheels caught the uneven pavement near a construction area on the highway. The little Bug swerved and rolled over about 4 times before landing upright on the shoulder. I remember unbuckling the seatbelt that I shared with Billy. They didn't have shoulder harnesses back then. And climbing out, I tried to flag down some help. Someone grabbed me and laid me down in the grass. The next thing I knew, I was in an ambulance on the way to the hospital. Not long after, I heard the news. Both Billy and Teresa were killed in the crash. As I look back now, I'm puzzled that I was the one who lived. But I'm so grateful that God spared me, and it makes me want to serve Him more. By the time I was a junior in high school, I got kicked out of my Catholic school for bad grades, long hair, and general disrespect. I know how disturbing it must have been for my mom, whose dreams of a happy Catholic family were being destroyed by the sinful inclinations of her children. Yet God used all of these circumstances to draw her to Himself. Eventually, she met some Christians who shared the gospel with her, and she placed her trust in Jesus. My mom became a fanatic for Jesus. She knew God loved her and saved her, and she was not going to rest until everyone on the planet knew it. The thing I remember most about her is the way she prayed. I'll never forget those nights I would come home from a party, drunk, on drugs, or both, and wake up in the middle of the night to find my mom kneeling by my bedside and praying for me. I would lie there silently, pretending to sleep, but all the while God was softening my heart. My mom persistently shared the gospel with me and had her friends share the gospel with me and arranged for me to take people to different places that would share the gospel with me. She was a conniver. God bless her. Sadly, because I continued to rebel against my mother's authority, my mom told me I needed to move out of the house. So I moved across the street to live in a house with my brothers and about 5 or 6 other guys and their girlfriends. We were constantly partying and doing drugs. Drugs and music were my life. But in the mercy of God, the consequences of my sin led me to think about God. Was my mother wrong about Jesus and the rest of the world right? Or was she right? And was the rest of the world all messed up? Eventually, one night while I was doing drugs, God graciously brought me to the conclusion that she was right, that Jesus was alive, that He loved me, that He wanted to save me from my sins. That night, January 2nd, 1971, I walked out into the street at about 1 o'clock a.m., and there I surrendered my life to Jesus. I can remember to this day gazing up into the winter sky, lifting my hands and just saying His name. I felt His love and compassion wash over me more greatly than I had ever felt anything else in my life. All my previous pleasures and joys were completely overshadowed by His great love. I was filled with His joy and ruined for anything else this world had to offer. Since my mom lived right across the street, I decided to go tell her the news. She welcomed me and prayed for me, and that's when I was born again. Thank you so much.